Hellboy is an action-adventure fantasy film starring David Harbour, Milla Jovovich, Ian McShane, Sasha and Daniel Day Kim. It is directed by Neil Marshall. This is based on the comic book series written by Mike Mignola and is a reboot of Guillermo del Toro's two films based on this universe. When an ancient sorceress wants to take down the world, its only hope is a warrior demon from the depths of hell itself. Hellboy, this time played by David Harbour, is raised by his adoptive father, Professor Broom, played by Ian McShane. Hellboy begins to work alongside humans in the Bureau for Paranormal Research, or BRPD, an organization that protects people from otherworldly forces who threaten the planet. Hellboy's supernatural abilities are put to the test when the Blood Queen, played by Milla Jovovich, is raised from the undead in a bid to take revenge on humans who tried to destroy her ages ago. Neil Marshall aims to set this reboot apart from Guillermo del Toro's two films with a distinctly gory and expletive-laden tone. Marshall understands how to stage large-scale action set pieces, and there are a couple of sequences that are disturbing yet hilarious. But there's little else of note. Milla Jovovich as the villain is bad, and I don't mean she's so bad it's good. She struggles to convey the required sense of menace, and her dialogue delivery fluctuates between wooden and comical. It also doesn't help that the Blood Queen is a weak antagonist who holds a lot of promise but doesn't quite bring it eventually. There's just not enough menace or intrigue in the character. Meanwhile, in some good news, David Harbour is perfectly cast as the lead character. Hellboy is mighty while being snappy with oodles of wit, and Harbour nails down his devilishly fun persona. Ian McShane also attempts to add some pathos to the distorted father-son relationship that Professor Broom shares with Hellboy. Sadly, as soon as you begin to appreciate these subplots, the next action sequence is thrown at us. This makes the tonality wildly uneven. It also doesn't help that outrageous characters enter the narrative with little context and often exit quickly as well. Don't ask me about the characters played by Sasha and Daniel Day Kim. I couldn't really tell you much about them other than they have powers. I don't know how they got them because the film doesn't set up the characters well enough or even make me care about what happens to them. The CGI is also spotty in bits and seems to be hurried. There are some parts where the green screen work becomes all too obvious, and that's simply unacceptable at this point in time. Some of the character designs are done well, and Hellboy in particular looks pretty damn good. Even an improvement over the previous version, if you ask me. But again, that's about it. If Marshall's mere intention was to shock you with excessive gore and expletives, then he certainly manages to do that, but in a cringy way, nothing that comes across as cool or even badass. I'm going with 2.5 stars for Hellboy. There are some fun moments, and yes, David Harbour makes a good Hellboy. Sadly, it isn't quite enough, especially if you leave the theatre confused about what just happened due to a ludicrous plot. Despite Ian McShane and David Harbour's best efforts, this exhaustive end-of-the-world story is unable to raise as much hell as it should. Guys, have you watched Hellboy? Did you like it more than I did? If you did, let me know why in the comments. And as always, keep watching It's Entertainment. Own your mirror now. You first.